We are back. Okay, so we are starting with a controversial question. When is it okay to profit from cooking other cultures' food? This was posted on the NPR website. Really, like, why even like
Why is that
trying
even
to
an
discuss
argument?
this? They
That's
said,
so. I just.
they said this. They said, hold on. They asked like the question, and they wanted like their viewers to weigh in, and they said, to be clear, the wait, hold on.
The question
Okay,
is.
our question was prompted by a recent Sporkful interview with Rick Bayless, who has faced criticism over his long career. Although he's Oklahoman with no Mexican ancestry, he has become one of the most prominent ambassadors for Mexican cuisine in America. So they made this whole discussion about, is it okay if you're not Mexican, you have to cook Mexican food? What?
That is honestly
What?
the silliest thing I've could ever hear in my life.
Is this the point that we've
Is this what we've come to fight about? Like, why is this an argument?
and like they just want to start a conversation about food and race and it's just ethnicity, whatever, and it's just like I don't know. I just thought that was crazy and I thought it was interesting to share.
No,
What I want to
definitely
talk about with politics now. So a lot of criticisms over the Donald Trump campaign was, like he's an outsider, he doesn't really know the rules of the game. They face like the big loss in Wisconsin and they are faced scrutiny for like having low organizational skills. Like they're not, he doesn't have the right people to like he didn't know okay, for example, his two kids can't vote in the New York primary because they're
Donald
not
Trump's
registered.
kids?
Yeah. So people are
Oh.
saying like, well, how does he not know like these rules? And there's so many rules, and like, he's a businessman.
It's not
He
up
doesn't.
to him. I feel like if his kid wants to be,
Exactly. I mean, he's
if he
running.
wants to register to vote,
No,
they
I
have
no no.
that.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, exactly. He's like so many things to worry about. Is he really gonna like? He doesn't know every
That's
rule.
not on him.
But that's like the great thing about him. People like that he doesn't know the rules. He's just kind of a guy coming into this trying to fix up the corruption. He doesn't. He's not a politician. He hasn't been doing this his whole life. He doesn't know. Like Ted Cruz has a better ground game. So every time you go to a primary or whatever, he's able to, and like that's one of the criticisms facing Donald Trump. So basically, Donald Trump has a delegate is a person. Okay, so like let's just
So
talk
it's gonna
about
give me a little lesson right now. 'Cause I really don't know anything.
a delegate is a person sent or authorized to represent others, in particular, an elected representative sent to a conference. So basically, Trump, Cruz, or Kasich, they're gonna need 1,237 delegates to secure the nomination, and if nobody reaches that magic number, it will go into a contested convention in July in Cleveland. So basically, delegates come together, and they have to vote on a ballot for a nominee and all the delegates that represent each state. So this is where everything gets really tricky, and you kind of have to know the game of politics because eventually candidates need to win over individual delegates and ensure as many of those delegates to get on the rules committee. So before the convention, they're going to have a rules committee that will make the rules for the convention. So there's this rule that was made in 2012, 40B, which is saying that you need a majority of 8 states to even be on the first ballot. So if you don't have 8 states, you can't be on the ballot, which would eliminate John Kasich.
Oh.
So these rules committee is very crucial to someone like Cruz and Trump because you're saying, someone like that, or you could have a rule that somebody who wasn't even running could be nominated. So these rules committees is going to be really imperative to Trump winning. So basically, they decide things, blah blah blah, and that they can't decide whether or not someone running the race, and then whatever. So, just if Cruz or Trump don't get it, there will be a lot of chaos.
Wait, so I'm sorry. Remember last week we talked about the Wisconsin primary?
And he lost.
Didn't. Right, but doesn't that? I don't know who told me this, but I remember, like if he didn't win that, he wouldn't make it on to the next. I honestly don't know.
It's a setback. It's a setback. He can still win because he's going to do well in the Northeast blocks. So like he'll do well in New York, Pennsylvania. I think California, but Connecticut, Rhode Island. I think it's a setback. So if this does get to a contestant convention, this is my thing. So he hired this guy Paul Manafort. He is an American lobbyist and political consultant. He was an advisor to presidential campaigns of Republicans like Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Bob Dole, and he's basically like an expert on these kind of things. And so basically what the contested convention is that they didn't get 51% of the delegates. So that's like, and they haven't really done this since, they did this with Ronald Reagan, I think it was 1976, and Gerald Ford won. But basically,
so this happened with Ronald Reagan?
Yes.
Like he lost this,
yes. And then,
oh, okay.
But, well,
so he's not completely out.
So history repeats itself. I'm reading an article from Breitbart. It's Donald Trump's delegate manager begins employing same tactics he used for Ronald Reagan in 1980. So Paul Manafort, Trump's new Republican National Convention manager, just delivered not only a big win in Michigan delegate game, he undercuts Senator Ted Cruz by throwing a separate victory to Ohio John Kasich. So what he's basically doing is, he did this also in the 1980 campaign. He's basically blocking out, he's basically like tossing out votes of Cruz and even giving them to Kasich just to block out Kasich from Michigan. So like, to block out Cruz from Michigan. And he's basically like, all right, Ted Cruz suffered a rare convention loss Saturday after delegates backing John Kasich and Donald Trump boxed him out of key positions in Michigan delegation. The Texas Senators campaign ran 8 delegates for 8 committee spots and lost every one. So you need these spots. You want your delegate supporters to be on the Rules Committee, whoever's supporting you. So he's trying to get Trump the most supporters as possible and get Cruz out of there because Cruz has a good chance of winning because he's the second front runner. Well, I guess he can't be a second front runner. So basically, this is like a big thing, and there's been a lot of scrutiny under Trump's campaign manager now, Coy Ledu. I can't even say his last name. There's a whole other scandal with him, but him and there's a scandal. So there's a lot of tension between him and Paul Manafort. Like apparently Paul Manafort came in and he's like taking control of things and stuff. But this is a really good thing for Trump because you need somebody that's good at this game. You need, if it does get to a contested convention, you need the most delegates as possible to support you. And people are saying if he doesn't win on the first ballot, Trump, he's like, because you could have like 100 ballots, like until everyone agrees to like one candidate. So it could go on for 4 days even. Yeah, so, but crazy. They're saying if Trump doesn't win on the first ballot, he's done. So you need to get a good ground game. You need to get everybody like whatever. So it's a whole thing, and like it's really confusing. They keep changing the rules, and when you're new to politics, like it is really confusing, especially for me. And I don't know. So it's getting a little
question for you. So I know, like, try to be like unbiased in this. I know you want Trump. Who do you think is actually going to win like in the end of this?
I really
like put your like
no it's not biased because like
no I know I'm just saying like
I don't know
even if you hated every single person in this.
I really think Trump has a good chance. I think people are saying that absolutely not.
Who do you think it's going to come down to?
Well, right now it's down to Kasich, Cruz, and Trump.
Like in the end though, who do you think it's going to be like between
in the general?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Trump can win it without the contested convention. I think he's a good shot. If not, I think he's getting the right people around him to help him like actually learn the game of politics. So I think he has a good chance. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if they do somebody like not even running, there'll be a lot of chaos, and I feel like it'll be the end of their political careers. And I think Trump's a deal maker, and I think he's going to go down there in Cleveland and work something else. I'm not being biased. Like, I think that like there's too much people angry at the establishment for them to completely not listen to the will of the people, and I think there'll be a lot of chaos, and I think they know that. So I think something might work out. I don't know. Like I really don't.
It's crazy. This is like the biggest.
I think
I feel like every other. I mean, maybe I was like younger then, but like I feel like every other election, this has never been.
There's never been an election like this in history, and that's why I'm.
Everywhere I go, I hear something about it. If it's not from you, it's from like. I get a notification from Twitter or something. It's crazy.
No, it's true. Okay, so now there is okay, we're going to talk about... So John Kasich was at Iona College on Saturday. Yeah. He was at first at Westchester County, Iona College or whatever, and then there was like about 700 people, many who were students. And then he went to Hudson River and spoke at Pearl River. And he introduced himself as someone who doesn't play politics. He comes from a hometown that was filled with blue-collar, God-fearing conservatives. I think people enjoyed that. I didn't make it. Maggie didn't make it, so we'll just skip ahead. Hillary Clinton tried to show New Yorkers her real side, how to rub the subway, but it took her 5 times to actually get through the terminal.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
I don't. This would be my campaign advice to Hillary Clinton. Don't try to be someone you're not. You know, if you have money, you haven't been riding the subway. We know you're Secretary of State. You're working in the White House. You're running for the President of the United States. You don't need to show that your humble side by taking the subway. Like, we know you have money. Just embrace it. Say, I've been taking limousines. I don't know how to take the subway. Like, you don't have to kind of change who you are.
I mean, I don't know anything. Like, you know,
but, like,
I don't really know much, but I don't know if I would say
it didn't work out the way she did.
She definitely tried to, like, it probably was planned out a lot better in her head.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of controversy in Colorado that Trump is tweeting, this is a rigged system, nobody got to vote in Colorado, and then I tweeted, like, Ted Cruz, if you're such a constitutionalist, you should disavow what happened in Colorado and call for a vote. And then people are tweeting me, they voted, just not for Trump, and there's a lot of controversy against it. I don't think the Colorado people were able to vote.
They're not allowed to vote.
And then the GOP of Colorado tweeted, like, never Trump or something like that. And then they deleted it saying, like, oh, that wasn't us or something. So a lot of controversy against it. I guess we'll see what happens within the next week. Yeah, so it's going to be a really, really exciting next couple of months. I don't know what's going to happen, but
this is crazy.
There's a lot.
It's, like, cool that, like, I feel like in how many years from now we're going to look back and be like, we were, like, alive for this
It's our first election to vote in. It's awesome.
Too.
We're the
really
generation.
Big time right now.
That's why I'm really excited with it. And we've never seen anything like it. It's like an actual movement. And I think it's
because this is going to be known, like, this is going to be obviously known as the biggest election ever so far.
Craziest, most unpredictable, and most exciting.
Yeah. I've
never
heard so much.
That's all we have today. It's a little more shorter show, but next week we'll be back. We'll talk about the Billboard Music Awards. We'll talk about any new political news. We will have a little more segments and a little more fun games to do. Thank you for anybody tuning in, and we will be back next week. I'm Jill.
And I'm Maggie.
And this is the Jill and Maggie Show.
That sounds so funny.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.